It's been a while since Max Verstappen rounded out his incredible 2022 season with victory in Abu Dhabi, 95 days in fact. But F1 is back with the first of 3 days of testing under the Sakhir sunshine. New races, new faces. The 2023 season starts here. Just in case you missed the winter merry-go-round, Fernando Alonso has moved to Aston Martin following Sebastian Vettel's retirement, with Pierre Gasly filling the Spaniard's seat at Alpine alongside Esteban Ocon, completing an all-Gallic lineup for the French outfit. Returning to the F1 fold is Nico Hülkenberg, replacing the departing Mick Schumacher at Haas. And we have plenty of new blood joining us for this record-breaking season. With Daniel Ricciardo moving back to Red Bull in a reserve capacity, McLaren have secured the services of another Australian driver. Former F2 and F3 champion Oscar Piastri will race for the Woking outfit this year. The 22-year-old suffered a big lock-up coming out of the tight Turn 9. His debut in Papaya, a work in progress. 10th out of 10 in the morning. He finished P18 as the flag fell. 28-year-old Nick de Vries has had to wait a long time for a full-time seat, having been a Mercedes reserve driver and a Formula E and F2 champion. His deputising for the unwell Alex Albon at Monza last year, with a points finish to boot, was a definite statement. And Helmut Marko was quick to sign him up for AlphaTauri. P13 on debut is a pretty decent first outing. There hasn't been an F1 driver from the United States since Alexander Rossi's 5-race stint for Mana Marussia in 2015. With 3 stateside races ahead of us this season, the Williams signing of Logan Sargent will hopefully give US fans someone to cheer on. Getting to grips with the FW45, Sargent found Turn 10 a little taxing. But to be fair, so did many a more seasoned head.
We got through a really busy run plan between me and Alex, and great work to the team for that. That was mega to get all that in. I think Alex has been a great reference for me to see what he's doing in the car, and then it makes it a little bit easier for me just trying to look at what he's doing and replicate it. I think he's extremely quick and has a lot of experience, so it's a perfect teammate to lean on.
There was another new face that we perhaps weren't expecting to see in Sakhir. 2022 F2 champion Felipe Drugovich sat in for Lance Stroll at Aston Martin. The Canadian unable to participate after suffering injuries in a recent cycling accident. He was responsible for testing's first red flag, a technical fault forcing him to pull over and park up on track. His best time was good enough for P14. Having secured both titles last season, Red Bull will be looking to consolidate their superiority. Their new challenger, the RB19, looked solid, slick and super speedy. Defending world champion Max Verstappen was given both sessions and looked in imperious form.
Basically a smooth day, no issues, and we could really focus on the car, try a few things to understand also the new tires for this year. And we got loads of running during the day when it was really hot, in the evening as well, so pretty okay day.
He had the quickest time of the morning, a 1 minute 32.959, and hit his ton, the first driver to clock 100 laps. He was even faster in the afternoon, a final time of 1 minute 32.837, the best turn of the day. Incidentally, the track record here was set in 2005 by one Pedro de la Rosa, who's in Sakhir this weekend in his role as ambassador for the Aston Martin F1 team. Seen here catching up with compatriot Alonso as the double world champion prepared for his first stint in the AMR 23, which was pretty impressive. P2 when he put in a quick one, just 3/100ths off the pace of Red Bull. The big change at Ferrari is on the pit wall, with former Alfa Romeo boss Fred Vasseur taking the reins at the Prancing Horse stable. The Scuderia will be looking to put the errors of 2022 behind them to capitalise on their drivers' obvious abilities. Their lineup of Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc will start their 3rd season together as teammates. Sainz had the 2nd fastest lap of the morning, but this was still considerably slower than Verstappen's best time. Leclerc was given the SF23 for the afternoon. He got a little twitchy on his early outing, sporting the aero rakes, and then had a scary moment going wide while exiting turn 7 while simultaneously avoiding a slow-moving Lewis Hamilton, who was well off the racing line. The Monegasque fighting to keep it on the track. Later, low fuel runs saw him almost match his teammates' time, just a couple of hundredths separating the pair. George Russell was the first Mercedes driver to take to the track, the W14 Challenger sporting a striking black livery, last seen on the Silver Arrow as part of the team's drive to highlight diversity issues in motorsport. The 2023 paint job's purposes are more prosaic. Raw carbon fibre weighs less. And in the tightly contested F1 arena, every micro adjustment can make the difference. Russell had a very tidy session, setting the 5th best time of the morning. Lewis Hamilton had the car for the afternoon, and as the sun set in Sakir, he began to put in some quick laps. The 2023 iteration of the Mercedes seemingly more to his liking than its predecessor. He even had an opportunity to race, as Williams' new boy Sargent tried to go side by side with the 7-time world champion through several corners. P6, his final placing. Considering it's the first day of testing, there seemed to be very few gremlins around. Brake issues hampered McLaren's running, with Lando Norris spending much of the session in the garage, the MCL 60 having emergency duct tape administered. A touch of deja vu maybe. 12 months ago, it was brake cooling that affected the 8-time Constructors' Champions, which carried on into the first few races of the season. However, once the problem was rectified, Norris put in the 5th fastest lap of the day. After the shakedown at Silverstone, Albon seemed very pleased with the balance of the 2023 Williams Challenger, and his first track session earned him the 3rd best time of the morning. Sargent spent much of his time plastered in Floviz paint, but got plenty of laps in and should be pleased with his P10 finish. Last year at testing, the P word was all the rage: porpoising. One team that didn't suffer too much was Alpine, so Ocon might have been surprised to find himself bouncing along the straights this afternoon. The team are keen to push on and challenge for P3 in the Constructors' Championship, but they will need to get on top of the undulations quickly if they're to do that. 2 experienced heads at Haas this year, but Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen were finding the VF23 a little stiff on day 1, with the Dane suffering a lock-up and the German taking a bit too much curb and consequently losing some carbon fibre. Hülkenberg finished P11, but Magnussen was propping up the bottom of the table come the end of the day.
Not completely smooth. It was a good day, but it wasn't bad. But we had some issues with the throttle system a little bit. That for Nico, we were in the box just before the session finished, and the same happened to Kevin afterwards. So we lost a few of maybe 1 hour each driver driving, but the rest went smooth. We went to our program, so all in all, a pretty good day.
Alfa Romeo are persevering with their 2022 lineup. Zhou Guanyu showed promise with the 4th best time of the morning. He would end the day 8th fastest. Valtteri Bottas had a wobble at turn 6 and suffered a big lock-up going into turn 10. The Finn with the 12th best time. It was a quiet session for AlphaTauri. The team finished a disappointing P9 last year. With Yuki Tsunoda now his most senior driver, Franz Tost really needs a decent start to this season. It was De Vries with the bragging rights, but the Dutchman was well over a 2.5 back from compatriot and the day's top driver, Max Verstappen. So Verstappen from Alonso, Sainz and Leclerc, followed by Norris, Hamilton, Albon, Zhou, Russell and Sargent. P11 for Hülkenberg, then came Bottas, De Vries, Drugovich, Tsunoda, Gasly, Ocon, Piastri and Magnussen. With the exception of the absent Stroll, only Sergio Perez has yet to set tyre to tarmac. His time will come tomorrow.